Lionel Messi should never be 7th on any list. If you think he's so bad because he's playing at Inter Miami, take him off the list. But you have him on the list, you can't tell me he's not better than Antoine Griezmann. You can't tell me that he's not better than Harry Kane.
The most overrated player in the FC 100, sit down before I say this, Lionel Messi. He's playing in the MLS, he's not playing at a high level. His last season at PSG was terrible. Nobody can say that Lionel Messi's not the greatest player we've ever seen. He is. But he doesn't deserve to be there now.
But I expected better from the voting body for this project. I think among people with certain avatars on their Twitter accounts, I would expect Ronaldo to be that high. He scores a lot of goals and he doesn't make his team better. Al Nassr hasn't come close to winning the Saudi League in either of the seasons that Ronaldo's been there. And I'm not sure that any team that employs any player on the FC 100 at any position would exchange their player for Ronaldo.
So for underrated players, Guardiola is criminally low. For me, he'd be in the top 5. He's had an unbelievable season for Man City and is slowly redefining that left-back position.
Granit Xhaka to be in the mid-20s and the midfielder, completely underrated. The best season as a player that I've seen from him as a professional. He was outstanding from Bayer Leverkusen.
And then the other player which I wouldn't have anywhere near the FC 100, and that's Jack Grealish.
After being a main contributor in the treble campaign for Manchester City, he really dropped off.
He's a myth to me. Does he go down the outside of any and beat anybody on the outside? No, he doesn't. Does he really create opportunities for others? No, he doesn't.
I think other wingers, such as the Crystal Palace duo of Michael Olise or Eberiche Eze, or his own teammate, Jeremy Doku, deserve it higher than him in this list.
Federico Valverde in 26th is criminal, I can't lie to you.
This is just the most baffling one on the entire list for me. Guess who played the most minutes for Real Madrid this year? And yet, he's behind 4 other midfielders on Real Madrid alone, let alone the entire world, and much lower on our list.
You got man like Paquetá and Paulinho ahead of Valverde.
He's a superstar role player, basically, in that he's basically incredible at anything.
He's versatile, he can play anywhere, he does everything. He's good at absolutely everything. It just makes no sense.
There's only a handful of midfielders in the world that I would take over him, and we have way more than a handful of midfielders ahead of him on our list.
Bernardo Silva is definitely the most underrated player on the list. If he had more goals and assists, then perhaps he would be higher than number 22 on the list, but he's absolutely key to how Manchester City function. Definitely should be higher.
Most overrated player on the list may cause some waves. Number 3, you have Erling Haaland. Bear with me for a second. Over Vinicius, Griezmann, who's been unbelievable, and Phil Foden is below him. Yeah, it's gotta be Haaland.
For me, the most underrated player on this list probably has to be Barcelona's Ronald Araujo. Look, I'm all about making defending great again, like good old school defending. I don't hear enough noise about him on Barca or even for Uruguay. So for me, he's the most underrated player on this list.
The most overrated goalkeeper in the list, Gigi Donnarumma. Now, bear with me. Without question, he was the standout player in Euro 2020.
I guess he had the one mistake against Madrid in the Champions League a couple years ago that led to a goal, and maybe that's sticking in people's mind, plus Italy not qualifying for the World Cup.
He has made a series of high-profile errors for PSG, particularly in the Champions League, the holy grail of their own exploits.
But Donnarumma coming in 10th, I think, is sort of shocking to me.
I just don't feel he gives you the confidence that he did 3 or 4 years ago.
I don't see a time in the next decade, basically, when Donnarumma is as low as he currently is on our list.
I'm going for Jan Oblak. His level has declined in the past few years, and he doesn't even warrant a top 10 finish for me in that list.
I think when I look at the list and I look at number 30 and I see Mickey van de Ven from Spurs, completely and totally underrated, alongside Saliba was the best defender, a central defender in the Premier League. And when he got injured in the second half of the season, Spurs, my goodness, the defence was all over the place. There's no question, Mickey van de Ven, totally underrated.